Hello and welcome. I'm really excited to have with me today Julie Gaul. Julie is from the Early Childhood Education Environmental Network. Have I got that right?
Well, almost, yes. The Early Childhood, yes. Environmental Education Network is right.
Great.
Yes.
And that's a New South Wales organisation. Julie, can you just tell us a little bit about your background in sustainability and early childhood, which I know has encompassed many, many years? We don't need to say exactly how many
How
years.
many? No, that's good. But we know I'm in that category.
Yeah.
So ESEEN actually started officially back in 2004. So there was a little bit of getting together before then. And the idea was the group was actually started with a grant from the Environmental Trust, or what was then the EPA, the Environmental Protection Authority. And that was because that department then saw that environmental education should start at birth and wanted the early childhood sector to be involved. So they started a group of peak early childhood organisation representatives meeting, and I think that was around about 2003. And that came about because Sue Elliott, who is probably the guru of early childhood environmental education in Australia, had done research for them on what was happening around environmental education in New South Wales. And that research was called Patches of Green. And so the idea of forming the network was to connect those patches and green up the early childhood sector.
And so why environmental education for children? Like, out of all the things you could specialise in your early childhood career, why environmental education?
Well, I suppose, it does go back to our early experiences of life. And mine was very much outdoors and in nature, and that awe and wonder and wondering how we fit into this world was always something that was a big part of my life. And so naturally, I wanted to bring that into my work in early childhood. I wasn't sure at the time how that would ever evolve. So I think it demonstrates you've just got to hang on to those things that you love and value, and the opportunity arises. And so then I was also noticing at the time the change in children's lives, to the childhood I was fortunate enough to have, to children's lives being much more indoors. There was less opportunity for children to engage with nature and find out that we were just part of a much, much bigger thing. And because those opportunities weren't there for children, and particularly in early childhood settings, the regulations had become more and more restrictive about children being outdoors. So I saw that there was a real need for this, and was happy to join with others to see what we could do.
So, okay, I can understand the need for children to be more connected with their environment, but why is the concept of sustainability so important in early education? Is that the main reason, because of the need to get children connected with their environment?
No, really, because that's been very much part of early childhood, hasn't it? Kindergarten is children being in the garden, which is more that romantic view, I think, of children. For me, it was about us being able to recognise that we're just one part of a bigger system, that humans aren't the ones that should dominate the earth, that we need to respect and know where our place is within the big system, and that whatever we do makes an impact on a whole lot of other things in the world in which we live. So we have to start with understanding that concept, and then move to how we can care for our world and make it and
It's funny, I
continue.
think sometimes perhaps with the regulations in the NQF, educators understand that their service needs to be sustainable and are looking at, the basics like recycling and water tanks, etc., but haven't necessarily thought about environmental education of children. Are you finding that at all, or am I seeing a slightly different thing than what you're seeing?
No, I think I agree with you on that. I think it's a complex concept, I think, sustainability, and I think the word doesn't really help share what it's about either.
What's your definition of it?
Well, I think it's a way of seeing. It's a different perspective. So it's seeing us as being part of the earth, not the earth being there for our use. And I think it's also then impacts on the way we behave. So if we're to behave in a way that cares for the resources of the earth, so the air, the water and the soil, we're probably not going to do a lot of things that we might already be doing. So composting might be part of that, but it's certainly not all of it. And for it to happen just in our workplace is probably not enough either. Sometimes these things have to start with us personally.
We're lucky with family daycare, obviously, because home and workplace are the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are seeing people that don't see it as their responsibility to impart in sustainability knowledge to children, or gender?
I think people want to. I think we did some more research with Sue Elliott back in 2015, I think that was 14, and that was that found that the biggest inhibitor for early childhood educators in taking up sustainable practices was a lack of confidence. And so I think that we are under a lot of pressure in early childhood to conform to a whole lot of regulations. So it makes it seem more difficult than it is. People who are doing it say it's just so much easier than they had imagined before. So I think, it's like any change. We have to really apply ourselves to it. So just like getting fit, we often have to think about it for quite a while and then find an easy way to get into it. So
I must do that soon.
Yes, exactly. So it's making it a priority.
Yeah. From my conversations with family daycare educators, I get the sense that a large majority have the basics in place. They understand, about composting, they understand about recycling, they turn off light switches, etc. But they'd like to go further. What are the top 3 things that you could suggest that every educator could, do immediately to make their family daycare more sustainable, or to help children learn about sustainability?
Well, I think the probably top 3 things, or top 3 people, talk to the families. So talk to parents about their interest in sustainability so that this can be something that you do together. I think recognising how competent and capable children are and getting them involved in finding solutions to problems that they might be encountering. And then it's looking for hopeful solutions to it, because I think we do get disillusioned about moving forward. So I think often it can be getting out the gate and having a look at what's happening and getting to know our neighbourhood. And I often, when we walk out the gate with young children, the first thing they notice is the wrong things in the wrong place. So that'll be waste. And so then we can talk about where that plastic bag in the gutter after the garbage men have been, why is it there? How did it get there? Where's it going to end up when it rains? Is it going to end up down the road and in the river near the river or the creek, and then causing some damage to life there? So whether it's the frogs or the fish or the birds. And so we can have a look at those natural systems, then just link to that for the educators to learn more about what nature is out the gate as well, or in the backyard.
I get really worried because some family daycare services have stopped their educators from going anywhere near bodies of water because of a drowning that happened some years ago in a family daycare service. What kind of things can family daycare educators do outside the gate that are useful?
Well, I think it starts with slowing down. So just, we can learn a lot just from following children's leads. Children are innately connected to nature, so they'll notice life as soon as they walk out the gate. They'll hear the birds, they'll see the weed that's in the crack in the footpath. Stop and have a look and listen to the children's questions about those things. It can start with something that small. I remember Costa from Gardening Australia saying, one of the great ways to start the day is to find your favourite plant and watch it for 5 minutes and look at who comes to visit it. So is that, a pollinator? Is it a native bee? Is it going to be a hoverfly? It could be a butterfly, could be a caterpillar that's on there eating the leaves. But we need the time to slow down and stop and have a look and take the lead from the children. They've got those really good detective eyes. So I think for getting out the gate, it's that building up confidence in yourself that you can manage the children, but also letting the children know about the risks and helping the children assess the risks with you together about what could be dangerous, what could be good, and to think about the benefits as well as the risk and weighing up if it's worth doing it. And I think the benefits nearly always outweigh the risks.
You were talking to me yesterday about some of the specific places that you imagined that educators could go, like community gardens. Can you tell us a bit more about them?
Yes, well, I could share. Yes, so one of the places that few of us go to, and they've got so much great information, is our local government website. So if you look on your local government website, they'll list often the community gardens that are in your area. I think community gardens are such a great space for family day carers. They're usually enclosed, so once you're in, so that it's a safe place to go to. The people at the community gardens are often very welcoming for children and always need a hand in looking after their community gardens. And I know Waverley Council's family daycare have made a real thing of being part of their local community garden, which isn't far away for them, but they actually hold their family daycare sessions in the community garden. So they've built up a wonderful relationship with the other gardeners. They've also got their own patch and they share their produce with each other and learn more gardening skills while they're there. So community gardens are a great place to start. If you don't have community gardens, the other department within a council that's really good to link with is the Bush Regeneration Group, because they'll be able to let you know about great child-friendly bushwalks that you can do together. And they'll be short enough, so they might only be a half-hour walk, or as you're trying to build up strength to get through those. So that's another good place to start.
And what about, when you do, say, go to a park, what's a good way to start with children in a park?
In a park, well, I think perhaps let's try making that park a place, start to make it to be your place that you go back to. So have a look at the features that the children notice first. Often that's the trees. And that they'll go and connect with the tree, and where you'll be able to feel the bark, or the tree will be a particular shape. And often the children will want to give that tree a name because of some characteristic they've noticed about it. Sometimes you'll notice when branches come off trees, they leave an impression that looks like an eye. So what could the tree be looking at? What can the tree see? Talking about the tree and what makes up the tree, learning together more about that tree and who planted it. Was that tree there when the First Nations people were here and roaming that land? So then you can trace back the history of the site. So then the children learn more about that site. I know as a child, I was fortunate enough to know a lot about the history of where I used to play, and that gave me that sense of belonging. So we know about how important relationships are, but we often forget about our relationship to place and how important that is.
So what are the places that you really like taking children? Where do you take your grandchildren? Do you have grandchildren?
I sure do.
And where do you take them?
And our favourite place is where there's water. So that might not be what family day carers want to do first, but you can do that safely. And if anyone wants any more support around that, they're welcome to contact me. But my most favourite place is a river, and it's a tributary. It flows into the Murray River. It's called in the Kiewa Valley in northeast Victoria. And there is a great big rock that goes into the river, and we often lie on that in the summer, and then when you get too hot, you slide off into the water and cool off. And there are lots of river stones, and my grandsons have spent every holiday there. So I think for them it's their very special place too.
That's great.
Yeah.
We know that, family daycare educators have so much to do. They've got to look out for a million things. They've got to think of a million things. They're amongst the busiest educators I know. How do we make sure that it's not just sustainability isn't just something that they feel like they have to do for assessment and rating?
Rating, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to do a bit of an ad here for eScene but I think this is really going to help everybody. We developed this book called EcoSmart, and you've got the family daycare version, but this is very user-friendly, so I'd recommend it. And what that book does is help you to put sustainability into each of the quality areas. So it's not an add-on, it's your way of doing things, your way of acting. So for instance, in quality area 2, we talk about children's health and safety. Well, we know there's lots of research around children being outdoors and in nature makes them physically stronger, mentally healthier, and us too. We've heard a lot about this during COVID, haven't we, about how important it is for us to get outdoors to keep calm. So as well as keeping your chemicals safe or not having them, think about all those things that can help our physical and mental well-being by relating to nature. Yeah, and caring for plants, there's lots of research around when children care for plants. So in growing plants, they end up caring for each other more, because you're building that ethos of caring. So growing plants and knowing how delicate they are, yes, sure, we'll lose a few when we're really young, but that's all part of it. So, and learning from our
Some
mistakes.
of us manage that when we're not young.
That's right. But early childhood's great, because we know about making mistakes. We know about play as a way of learning and discovering. So we can do that with plants. And the great thing about plants is not only can we grow things that we can eat, but we can also grow things that are habitat for other things to come and visit us, other wildlife to come and visit. So if you're lucky enough to have a backyard, you might want to get involved in something called the B&B Highway, which is about planting for native bees and pollinators. And then you can get it, or you can get involved in watching the birds that come to visit, whether it's in your backyard or the park that you visit.
Or the frogs.
Or the frogs, and then get involved in citizen science. So then how we're being great scientists. So that's all part of Quality Area 3, of course, and Quality Area 1 is all about the teaching and the language and all of that. So once we get into this and put sustainability into every quality area, it's not an add-on, it's what we do.
One of the things that you always notice about children is how much they absolutely love, animals and insects as well.
Yes.
How can family daycare educators, exploit this natural love of these things with children?
Well, I think what I said before, if you can slow the day, try and decrease the procedures and follow the children's lead and slow the day when they do discover that insect, and then let them ask the questions. So where are we going to find more information about that insect? What I think is so wonderful about all of this is that we can learn together, because building what we call our eco-literacy is really important, because that's how we learn how interconnected we are. We won't know that we're going to we've lost millions of insect species because we spray chemicals, unless we learn what insect species need to live.
One of the things that I think is really exciting is that educators who don't know a lot about the environment can learn with children about the environment. It doesn't need to be one of those things that you need to be an expert in. And I love the fact that you talked about slowing the day down, because some of our we've done about 7 or 8 topics now in this particular program, and it's amazing how so many people have said that for so many different reasons. It's not just for environmental reasons, it's not just sustainability, but it's just about making everything a bit more slower, than you can do things more purposefully.
I think so, and we know that the calmer we are, the better we learn. So it all adds up, doesn't it? And the other thing I think that probably all of your other topics have covered, which is a really key part of sustainability, is that recognising how capable and competent children are, and and encouraging them to be global citizens, to be carers of their planet. And in saying that, can I just do an ad for a film?
You sure can. I want to know what a scene can do for educators.
Yeah, but this is a film that's really cheap if you want to buy the DVD.
We can't quite see it.
Is that better?
Yeah. Yep.
2040 is the name of the film.
Yep.
And I recommend that family daycarers watch this and get their families to watch it as well, because the film is all about a family with a 4-year-old daughter, and the person the lead in it is asking what's the world going to be like for his daughter in 2040, and then talks about the actions that we can all take together to make our 2040 as positive as possible. So I think it's a really nice thing for early childhood in particular, but especially family daycare, because family daycarers are probably our most powerful early childhood educators because of the richness of the relationship they have with families.
And can you tell us a bit about a scene? How can a scene help family daycare?
Yeah, well, we've developed we've always had lots of family daycare members in eScene. We've supported, we're happy to have you as members, but you don't have to be. You can just contact us and get involved. We have an encouragement award called the Sprouts Awards, which are coming up. So if you're doing some sustainability projects that you would like to share, we encourage you to enter the Sprouts Awards. The family daycarers could become individual members of eScene, and that's only $60 for the year. And then units could join as at a service price, which is $120 a year. But in becoming a member and buying the book EcoSmart, we can give you a certification that says that you're becoming an EcoSmart centre, which lets your families and others know that you're on your journey to becoming more sustainable. Because, as you said, Lisa, all these actions around environmental education and sustainability, we never ever get there. It's a continual improvement, and continually we're finding out more and more new science that changes the way we act. So the other thing eScene has is a Facebook page, so people might like to have a look there, because we do put on free online sessions every now and then. We haven't got one coming up immediately, but we just had one on bees and pollinators, which was really well received. So check out the Facebook page.
Link that on our Facebook page, everyone, so that everyone knows how to get to the eScene.
Great, yeah, and that'll lead them to the website and find out more.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Julie. It's been great having you here, and maybe we can both go and have a walk in the environment right now.
Oh, let's do that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me.